Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock. It's time for a Talk Magic. Now, I've interviewed hundreds of people on this channel before, from Las Vegas headliners to social performers and amateurs and hobbyists. And I've spoke to so many people. But the person I'm speaking to today is somebody who is not only very different in terms of what we're going to be talking about, but somebody who I think every single person that's got any interest in becoming a professional magician needs to listen to. Because this person has been a full-time professional magician for a long time, making their living doing magic, and has an incredible story to tell, but recently has transitioned into something else. So, as well as doing magic and as well as being very actively involved in the magic community, the person I'm about to speak to now also helps business owners, not just magicians, but all business owners, systemize their businesses and really achieve better results from their marketing. Now, one question that I get on this channel over and over again is, how can I get more gigs? How can I become more successful? How can I level up? And you know what? I'm hoping that this person is going to have a lot of those answers. This is going to be an incredible interview, and I can't wait to start it. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the one and only Jody Greig. How you doing, Jody?
Very well, thank you, Craig. That was a brilliant opener there. So it's a pleasure to be here and to chat with you today. So, yeah, very good.
You're more than welcome, buddy. Now, yeah, here's the thing. I'm very we'd never really spoken before. We met at the South Tyneside Magic Convention.
Yeah.
And after I spoke to you for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I knew immediately I wanted to get you onto the channel because my passion is marketing. I've got a background in marketing. I've got a degree in marketing, and I'm probably more at home reading a marketing book than I am a magic book.
Yeah.
And there's very few people that are, there's very few magicians that are really, really into marketing and business and systemization and automation. There are few and far between, but most magicians, they when it comes to the wonderful world of show business, they think all about the show and they don't think about the business. And really, you can be an average magician and you can have incredible business skills. And there's a very good chance you're going to be more
Yeah.
successful than the person who's incredible at sleight of hand but doesn't know how to actually run a business.
Yeah.
So and I know that you help business owners with systemization and automation, and I want to talk about awesome, and I want to talk about all of that.
Yeah.
But I want to say thank you so much for coming on the channel because this is going to be a very interesting interview for anybody who becomes wants to become a full-time pro or is a full-time pro or even wants to do a few part-time gigs. This is going to be something that I think is going to be a very interesting interview.
Definitely, and I hope so. And I'm looking forward to chatting about all these different things. And as you said, both the show side and the business side, that if you can, get them working together, then it's a good combination to have.
Absolutely. Well, let's start off by talking about you because obviously your business now helps business owners, and we'll talk all about awesome and everything. But obviously, you started in magic as a professional magician. So, what was your origin story into magic? What got you into magic? Where did it come from? What was the thing, the catalyst that made you go, you know what, I really like this magic thing? Was it a uncle pulling a coin from behind your ear or getting a magic set? What was it?
Actually, not far off it. My uncle performing a routine where the card was on top, the deck vanished in the middle, click of the fingers, and it was back on top. So for my 8-year-old mind, it just absolutely blew my mind. And I'd ask him to do it again and again. And eventually, after years of pleading, he eventually revealed the secret. So that was my introduction, into magic. But I was actually a bit late to the game. It wasn't until around 2000 when David Blaine was on the telly. I was sitting with my mate, we're watching David Blaine, and I remembered the trick. And I was obviously blown away with what we're watching. And I performed that exact trick for my mate, who was blown away, just like I was as the 8-year-old boy. And that was it. From there on, we used to drive the taxis in Edinburgh. So we
And
used to,
how old were you at this point?
oh, what was that? 25 years ago. So I'm 21 now. No, I'm only joking. Probably about, uh, excuse me while I do my math here, 22 or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
22.
So you
And
could, so it, other than like really being fascinated with it as a child, that's kind of late getting into magic. A lot of people get into it as a child and keep it up. I know how you feel. I didn't do, I didn't even consider learning magic until I was like 18, 19 years old. So I know how you feel. It's kind of like really interesting that you kind of got to that point and then something sparked and then you were
Yeah.
like, right, actually this is cool.
Yeah, and there's an old phrase that says, you don't find magic, magic finds you. And
Mhm.
that was the moment that, my love affair properly connected. And from there onwards, driving a taxi, self-employed, young guy, time on my hands, we used to meet up and have, jamming sessions. But when I was in the taxi, I always had the cards with me, which was just amazing because all the downtime, I'll just go into the taxi rank. Why? Because I wanted to just sit and, play with the cards. So it was a beautiful combination of sort of work at the time that allowed me to, quite literally over years, clock up the 10,000 hours,
Fantastic. That's amazing. So so what happened then? So you're working taxis, you
Yep.
found your love for magic, you're practicing a lot because you've got cards in the taxi all the time. Was the goal, you know what, I could be a magician, or is it just a hobby at this point? Like where did you go from that point on?
Aye, things took a little bit of a pivot after a good few years driving the taxis and traveling and learning magic. I didn't have any desire to perform at that point. I genuinely was loving all the sleights, the card control, mainly cards at that time. And there was no real desire, but I did have a desire for retraining and from going from the taxis to try and work out what I wanted to do for a career. So I went to Glasgow Uni. My first degree was in Edinburgh. I qualified as a software engineer. So I went back to university in Glasgow to train as a computer science teacher. And I suppose in the back of my mind somewhere, the thought of building up that confidence, speaking to classrooms and things could go hand in hand with the magic. So that's what I did, and I spent a couple of years teaching, which was fantastic. And um, that again, as a sort of partnership with the ongoing development in magic, it just worked well from that other perspective. And then after a couple of years of teaching, I'm now getting ideas that I've had fun in the classroom, couple of years, that's plenty. The kids have got the best from me. But the thing is, I'm a lifelong learner, and this responsibility of being the teacher didn't sit with me too well because I wanted to continue my journey of learning and exploration and grow my own business and develop magic. So it was a short career in teaching, which I loved, but it was time to move on. And that's where the magic really started to take off. So we're now looking at about 2009, 2010, where I'm starting to perform and, certainly in the pub with my mates and, a few gigs with my friends and things and really starting to take it out there.
Okay, that's cool. So you've got to that point, you've got a lot of life experience at this point, and you've got to the point where you're like, okay, I really love magic. I'm going out and performing it now.
Yep.
How did you transition from that to professional magician? Because that's kind of a really big, kind of scary jump, isn't it? One of the questions I get on my channel all the time is, I want to be a full-time pro, but I've got a full-time job. When is the right time? How do I prepare for that? What do I do? Because immediately overnight you're going to lose a guaranteed income, and
Yeah.
you're going to be self-employed. You're going to be responsible for bringing in the money yourself, which is a scary thing sometimes. So how did you go from you're performing in the pub for your mates, to you've got a job, to being full time?
Yeah, and I was very fortunate because I still had my Hackney taxi brief for Edinburgh. So, and that was one of the strategic reasons for getting that, knowing fine well that I would never go without and I could go out and drive a taxi.
Mm.
So thankfully for me, when I took that decision to leave teaching and, pursue my ambitions in magic, I had that safety net. So I would work part-time and do the occasional shift to do that. And it's quite a funny story because the the pivotal moment in my career, or the transition part of the career, was I had joined the Forth Valley Magic Circle, and in 2010, my first year, I won the Forth Valley Magic Circle close-up competition, which was great,
Congratulations.
trophy and everything. And I was, I was proud, and I really thought I've landed. So I phoned up an entertainment company, the biggest entertainment company in Scotland, just outside Edinburgh, and I phoned up looking for gigs. And the gentleman that I was speaking to was like, "I'm Dusty." And I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "Do you know who I am?" And I went, "Yeah." I didn't know who he was. And he said to me, asked me a few questions, and he said to me, "I don't think I can give you work based on what you do, but what I can give you is lessons." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough." I was like, "Okay." So he sold me a lesson as opposed to a gig. And I went out to see him, and he said, "Right, show me what you got." So I started to do some of my routines. And afterwards, he absolutely tore me up for arse paper. Absolutely ripped me a new one, right? And I was like, "Whoa, that's quite heavy." So the next game day, he phoned me and asked me if I was coming back. And I was like, "Absolutely. How else am I going to learn?" And it was incredible tuition. And Dusty's, been a significant part of the close-up scene in Scotland for many a decade. He's mentored the best magicians, and he's just an incredible performer with incredible knowledge and experience. And for years and years, he mentored me. We would discuss, we would argue, we wrote many shows together and different routines. And I think for me, it was always about in these sessions the premise. If you're delivering a routine, what's the premise? And to be able to give magic context and make it more than just a so what experience. So that was a wonderful journey, and that's what gave me the confidence to start going out and performing. I got a residency in Edinburgh in a pub, so you know what it's like. Thursday night, Christmas times, all times of year, you're doing you're working the tables, and you're very much learning your trade, and also learning that, having that people skill, the banter, the confidence of what you're doing, really, you learn that there and you earn your stripes. So that was the next part of that journey.
Wow, that's amazing. And you know what? It's so important. You talk about Dusty like ripping you a new one. One of the things I've always thought in magic is everyone's a bit too nice. And what I mean by that is, you'll see somebody perform and you'll go, even if you don't think it's great for whatever reason, you'll go, yeah, that's really good. That's really good. And then they'll go out and perform it to lay people and they'll soon realize that it's not as good. I think that as an industry, as a community, we should be, I'm not saying be nasty, but be more truthful. It's like, well, that was okay, but I think there's a few issues there that you need to be aware of. If somebody's actually asking you to see the trick and actually asking for advice, I think we need to just go beyond the stock answer of, yeah, it was really good.
And I think you've hit, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and you're spot on. I think if they ask for advice, if they don't, then maybe it's not your place to ask for to give the advice. But certainly, if they ask, I think there's an old phrase that goes something like, be considerate of people who provide advice, be selective of the advice that you take on board. And I like to think that I'm always open to advice, whether I agree with it or not. I appreciate people's feedback, and there's always something to think about and take from it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. So thanks to Dusty, you got better and better and better. And then I'm assuming, you were doing taxes, but focusing on magic. I imagine it eventually got to the point where you were pretty much doing shows full time, right?
Yes, and this is where it takes another sort of twist. That was in the early days, just back sort of 2010, 11, started getting out there, doing paid gigs. And it was about that time as well that I started my digital marketing business, because I'd always built websites, been involved with computer science in schools and all that sort of stuff. I just found this incredible passion for digital marketing, because my training was as a software engineer. I'm not somebody that can sit for 40 hours a week doing the same thing. Digital marketing, from my perspective, whether it be SEO, web design, marketing, graphics, analytics, all these things keeps me really, really interested. So it flipped from the taxis supporting my ambitions in magic, and then magic started to flourish. Magic started to support my new business in digital marketing, which became sort of my Monday to Friday type job, if you like. So yeah, it went the sort of full circle.
Oh, fantastic. So you're running so you're running a marketing agency. Not, obviously for clients everywhere. This is not just for magicians. This is you're running a marketing agency, and you're going out performing professionally as well. I know now you do a lot more of the marketing. You don't perform as much these days. Is that right? Is that fair to say? Um,
Yes,
and
there's a combination of reasons, but yeah,
yeah,
I'm less busy now than I
because
used to be, for
yeah, you
sure.
told me that there was a major issue with your website that it
Yes.
would be worth talking about, Gat. Of course, I imagine that this is one. This when you told me this story, I was like, oh my God, that's my worst fear. But secondly, this is something that, like, people that are going out and gigging need to be aware of. This is something that people need to be aware of. And it would be interesting to hear from your point of view what you did, how you dealt with this situation, and how that's impacted with where you are right now, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, sure. So in November the 13th, 2023, my magician website, which was ranking #1 for so many of the search phrases that I would hope it to rank for: magician Edinburgh, comedy magician, wedding magician Edinburgh, all these sorts of high seed phrases. It was ranking, and the site got hit. And I can only assume here, because with Google you can never say for sure, but it coincides perfectly. In November, I think it got rolled out on November the 9th or 8th or something, which was the HCU, Helpful Content Update. And it was a very volatile update that really had a ripple effect through, the whole internet. There were so many niche and blogging sites that got hit that never recovered, and my magician site was one of them. Now, just to sort of give you a bit of a backstory, I hadn't done any dodgy SEO or black hat stuff, as they like to say. It was all very organic, just sweat, love, and tears, But I did make a mistake, and that was earlier that year. I decided I wanted to rebuild my website, and I'd been buying up some domain names for my clients, .scot. So I found the domain name magician.scot, one word domain, Scotland. I thought, perfect, I quite like that. And what I've always done, I've always, learned but with my own sites before applying that knowledge and things to clients. So I thought, okay, I'll rebrand, or not rebrand, but a new domain, sort of new beginning. And at the time, I wanted to change my web design package to Gutenberg and WordPress and make it a lot more streamlined and lean. So I thought, let's tie the two together. So I changed websites, changed domain, and that was in the April. And the migration process went really, really smooth. Kept all my sort of #1 rankings, gained some more. But then 6, 7 months later, bosh, I got hit. So something in that update, the classifier that was applied to, the red flag, if you like, to sites, something happened. And it was my fault for changing jodymagician.com, a 14-year-old domain, to a new one. So a bit unfortunate, but like all things in life, there's maybe a reason for it, and you learn lessons,
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So what did you do about that? I mean, all of your site's no longer ranking. I mean, from a modern marketing techniques point of view, that's disastrous. Like, if people can't find you, they can't book you.
Totally. And especially when you do digital marketing and SEO, you're going, okay, these things should be part of your CV and portfolio. So and from a double double sort of hit perspective, it was a sore one for sure. And to be fair, I have done nothing about it at all, other than this week, after speaking to you at the weekend, I'm going back to jodymagician.com. I started the migration process a few days ago. It's now complete. The full redirects from magician.scot are all in place. So we're going to see over the next few weeks what happens. But I kind of thought to myself, well, I've got nothing to lose, you know, I've got nothing to lose. Hopefully the original sites didn't get hit with a classifier or flag and it gains some visibility. Time will tell. I'll let you know, Craig, how it gets on in the next few
Let me
weeks.
know, my friend. Let me know, my friend. So,
Uh,
obviously, to bring it bang up to date, so that when the website issues happened, is that where you kind of put more focus onto your marketing company?
Aye, and I think there was obviously we had COVID for a few years. Momentum had slowed down. The website got hits, and at the same time, going full steam ahead with Awesome, the platform, and that had my full attention. Wanting to go back and rebuild my site or sort of deal with that, and I was busy with client work as well. So the circumstance just kind of pushed me in that sort of direction. But having been at the South Tyneside Magic Convention at the weekend, having not worked as much this year, I fell back in love with magic. So amazing lectures and speaking to brilliant people. So yeah, it's something that I'm keen to rekindle.
Brilliant. So let's talk about Awesome. Can you tell us what it is and what you do specifically outside of magic?
So to give a bit of context there, well, first of all, it's an all-in-one platform. It's a all-in-one sales, marketing, and customer relationship management platform powered by AI. So essentially, it's all your business tools that you need to run a really successful, business, all under the one roof, one login, everything there that you need. And I know from experience, when you're running a business, you have an application that I use this for invoicing. I'm logging into Google Analytics. I need a tool for document signing. I've got my Google Calendar. What you end up having is 8 to a dozen different tools that are all connected by duct tape, and you might try and automate some data migration, and it becomes a nightmare. And Awesome solves all of that by having every tool you need of such a high quality, all in the one app. And I tried over the years many, many different CRMs and had issues with them all. And Awesome for me is just incredible. And it's one of these tools, when you start to use it, you go and look back to how you used to run your business and go, wow, I can't believe I used to run a business like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I completely know exactly what you mean. So, how is this useful for magicians? Because obviously, as we said right at the beginning of this interview, magicians typically aren't very good at at business. You know, there's the old joke, isn't there? What's the difference between a magician and a savings bond? A savings bond will eventually mature and make money. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of magicians that aren't very good at business, and probably what you've just said to them, they don't really fully understand. Now, some of them will. I don't want to paint everyone with the same brush, but for a magician watching this, because that's our audience on Magic TV, whether it be somebody who's a semi-pro or professional, somebody thinking of going pro, why is this an important thing to do?
I think quite simply, it saves you time, it cuts your costs for multiple subscriptions, and most importantly, it helps you get more bookings, it helps you build your reputation, and all these things combined makes it just, as far as I'm concerned, a completely no-brainer. To have that knowledge that you have a system doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you as an assistant to strip away a lot of that admin work is just a wonderful thing to have, you know.
Yeah. Okay. And so like for somebody who's, because most magicians are one-man bands,
Yeah.
they don't have like they're a sole trader, so to speak. For somebody who's a sole trader, is it worth investing in a platform like this?
Just depends how much you value your time and value your bookings, because absolutely, for the price of, something like a coffee a day, one coffee a day, but you can save a serious amount of effort on admin, and you can have a really smooth operation. Just give me one example. Here's just, and it's almost trivial, but it's just one example. Inside Awesome, you have Christmas marketing set up, and every Christmas Eve, without you doing anything, you've got the templates already built in. All your contacts inside the system will get a, Merry Christmas graphic email from you. And I do stress it's just a small thing, but that is just good marketing, and you don't have to do anything. It does it for you. So now,
Yeah.
if you take this and scale it up, the you know it becomes such a powerful tool. Take that one principle, and if you're performing at a wedding and you put the date of the wedding into the system, a year from now, or a year after that wedding, automatically send out a happy anniversary email. And these are just little nuances of marketing that really helps to
Yeah.
make your brand the best that it can be. And through no effort at all, it's a nice bit of marketing.
Mm. Let's give people a couple of real world examples. So, for
Okay.
example, you can link Awesome up to a contact form on your website. So when
Yes.
somebody fills a contact form on their on your website, you can have it so that based on the package that they've requested and based on the area in which they're in, Awesome can look at that information and send them a pre-written email specifically about the package they're looking for. Um, which, which is, and I'm guessing it's got calendar integration as well. Is that right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
All of
so
that
so
stuff.
so imagine this. You could even have somebody fill in a contact form. Awesome could check with the calendar, make sure you're available, look at what type of magic that they're inquiring for, and send an email back to them, telling them that you're available, including a link to a show reel, giving them the price, and you can set a timer on that. So that it doesn't appear automated. If somebody filled in a contact form, you could have like an hour and a half delay. So the email wouldn't be set out until an hour and a half later. So they would get that email an hour and a half later going, "Hey, thanks very much for your inquiry." Now, think about this for a minute. How many times have you had somebody inquire for a gig and you've had the email come through, but you're at a gig, you're at an event, you're performing all day at a wedding. And by the time you finish, it's too late to call them. So you call them the next day or you email them the next day. And then you get that email back going, "Oh, thanks, but I booked somebody yesterday." That's
Yeah.
the most frustrating feeling in the world because you know that you could have got that person, but they went with somebody else because you weren't quick enough. Well, say goodbye to that because now you can automate your replies to those customers and you can reply with the correct sales email. Not only that, you can set a follow up as well. So you can have it so
Yeah.
that after you've sent that email, 2 or 3 days later, you can do an automated follow up. So 2 or 3 days later, you can have another email going out saying, "Hey, just wanted to touch back with you about the event that you inquired about." And if it's a corporate event, you could link them in that email through to a blog that you wrote about corporate entertainment. If it's a wedding, you could link them through to a blog about corporate wedding entertainment. Because here's the thing: when it comes to marketing, we talk about touch points. A touch point is when you're actually contacting a client, when you're communicating with a lead, right? And
Yeah.
it could be an email, it could be a text message, it could be a phone call, it could be whatever, right? Typically, depending on the industry, you need 10 or 15 touch points in order to turn that person into an actual booking. One
Yeah.
email being sent back isn't enough. Now you can automate those touch points and provide value. Let me give you another example. Another example is so, for example, if you are, let's give an example. Let's say you take a deposit and then you want the balance paid a week before the event or 2 weeks before the event. you don't have to ring them up and try and get that payment. If you've got a payment system that you use, PayPal or Stripe or whatever it is, you can link that up to Awesome, so you can automate that process. So you can put into Awesome what the event date is, what the date of the booking is, and then 2 weeks beforehand, you can have an email going out to that client saying, "Hey, thanks very much. I'm really looking forward to performing your event in 2 weeks. By the way, the final balance is due. Click on this link and you can pay it online." And you can have it so that if they don't pay, and only if they don't pay, you can then send them another email saying, "Hey, your balance is now due." You can send them an email a day before the event going, "Hey, can't wait to see you tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. Anything you need, please give me a call." This is what I'm talking about here is something called the customer journey. And the customer journey is taking somebody from the point of inquiry through to after sales. So inquiry, pitching them, booking them in, the process up until their event date, and then feedback afterwards. And most magicians will just book it in, turn up on the day, and that's it. So the way you become more successful is by thinking of the customer journey, and something like Awesome. And to be clear, I don't use Awesome. I use different systems, but I know Awesome. I've chatted to Jody. I know that Awesome does everything that I do a lot cheaper. It's just that I'm too stubborn to change because of a lot of stuff that I've got going on. But I know that it does all of this. So you can focus on the customer journey. You can make people go, "Oh my God, this was an amazing experience," before you even turn up to the event. Imagine sending a feedback form afterwards. Sending a feedback form going, "Hey,
Done automatically for it. It's
yeah,
again.
so
It's
the feedback form gets sent out automatically. But then when the feedback form comes in, you then send an email saying that, which happens automatically, by the way, saying, "Thanks very much for your feedback. I really appreciate it. This is the link to my Facebook review page. This is my link to Trustpilot. This is my link to Google my business. Please, can you just copy and paste your review to these platforms? Here's the links, and by the way, this is the review." Boom. That's automatic. You don't need to do anything. That happens automatically. This makes you look like a bigger business without you even needing to be a bigger business. I'll give you one more example. Imagine putting a video on YouTube, a free unlisted video of you teaching a couple of simple public domain tricks. You put that on YouTube and it's unlisted. Then when you and you create inside Awesome an email that sends that video out to people. Now, how many times have you been to a gig and at the gig somebody says to you, "Oh, I'd love to learn how to do that magic trick"? Now, normally you'd just either show them a quick trick or you'd say, "Well, I can't do that. I'd have to shoot you or whatever." But imagine if you turn around and you say, "You know what? I get that question an awful lot," which is why I've set up a video that I can send you for free. It's going to teach you a couple of simple tricks you can show your friends and family. Do me a favor, just go on my website, click on that form there, just put your name and your email address in, click send, and that will be with you within the next half an hour. And all you have to do is set up a contact form, but now you've got them in your system. So now, because you've got them in your system, you've sent them this video of some free tricks. They're more likely to remember you than a business card. Now, 2 or 3 months later, you can automatically, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to remember. You can automatically send them another video which happens automatically, going, "Hey, I sent you a video about 3 months ago. Here's another video. I thought you might like to see it." And then your call to action. Don't forget, if you need a magician, give me a call. Who do you think they're going to call? The person who gave them a business card when they were drunk that they probably lost 6 months ago? Or the person that sent them emails with videos in that they're using to show their friends magic tricks? This is how you go from playing at this shit to actually being a fucking boss. And I get very passionate about this.
I totally, there's so many incredible points there, Craig. And, I'm champing at the bit to get in because I love discussing this stuff. And I love what you're talking about, the customer journey from the moment they're on your website. So Awesome will have your chat widget. You can have the chat widget trained up in AI to have a conversation if you want to lead them to your booking calendar, or you can just do it for collecting their details. You've got your Awesome form customized to your needs. So that's the website integration. It goes into Awesome, into the contact goes in. But what you're talking about, the customer journey, we've got a thing called opportunities. It's a pipeline, and we customize it for magicians. And it may start on stage number 1, new inquiry. Number 2, spoke to client. Number 3, send invoice. All that sort of stuff, all the way through to collect review. Now, what this is a bird's eye view of all your clients that are currently in this, that are live, if you like, from a new inquiry all the way through to the point of review. So one glance, you can see exactly an overview of all your business, how many invoices you're waiting for, how many gigs are coming up. And so that in itself is incredible. But to build on your point that you said there, Craig, about phone calls, you're at a gig and somebody phones you, you miss the call, you don't phone them back. in today's fast-paced internet world, if you don't answer that phone, they're on to the next magician getting the booking elsewhere. Now, Awesome has two incredible things built in, which is missed call, text back. So what happens is they phone you because you get a phone number inside Awesome for all your SMS and telephone marketing, which is just takes it to a whole new level. So they phone your number, you can't answer, they immediately get a text message going, "Hi, this is Jody. Sorry I missed your call. I'm currently performing. If you could just give me a few hours, I'll get back to you as soon as possible." Whatever works for you in terms of that text. But now that client goes, or inquiry, potential client goes, there's a touch point, as you mentioned. They're now less likely to go elsewhere because you've opened up that relationship. You can also do it with a voicemail. You can send a ringless voicemail so that they immediately get a personalized voicemail on their phone. Again, just sort of saying what I said there, whatever works for you. So that in itself, that one feature, and I say this to many business owners, that one feature can save you or earn you so many bookings, so many sales per month. Simple, but hugely, hugely effective. And then from what else you're saying, when they're in the system, it's got document signing. You send it off with if you want to add your terms and condition, your fee, they can digitally sign it on their phone. So easy. The system automatically converts that estimate into an invoice. And then if you want to split that invoice into a payment plan, create a deposit invoice and then final invoice, that's all you literally have to do is just split the payment into two. All that's taken care of, allows you to focus on your business. And then after the gig, if assuming it's a good gig, all you do is drag them, literally the contact card in the pipeline, drag them into request review. And this request review, it'll send an email asking for their feedback, takes you to a page and things with your different social review platforms. If they don't open it, a couple of days later, they'll get a text message. And then a couple of days later, another email. So without being overly forceful, you're using different channels to try and encourage them to leave a review. Then if they do leave a review, you can set it up so that AI will write the review response. Now, I personally don't have that set to automatic. I like to read the review response first, but it writes absolutely beautifully because it knows your business from the AI knowledge base and writes a beautiful personalized reply. Look at it, don't need to change anything, hit post, Facebook, Google, it posts it out. And then the automation will follow up with a personal text message saying, "Thank you very much for the review. And, please, as you mentioned, more touch points, follow us on social media, etc., etc." So when all that's done for you, you can sit back, it's good stuff.
It's amazing. So what's the price of it?
There's two pricing at the moment. The basic package, I say basic, is all the features you need.
Yeah,
is £97 a month.
Okay. Now to put that into context.
Yep.
To put that into context, because £97 a month, I know there's going to be some magicians that are going to go, "Ooh, that's one decent priced magic trick a month that you've decided not to buy." That's like 25 quid a week generally. That's like a couple of quid, what, 7.14, that's like £3.10, £3.20 a day, which sounds like a lot, but I pay just for my CRM about £300 a month, just for the CRM, and then a lot of other stuff on top of it. So the price is minimal. If you can literally just save yourself one booking and look more professional, because the other thing is looking more professional in your competition. You have to remember, most people will search around for magicians these days, and they will compare and they will contrast. If you can send them a couple of emails with links to videos and social media accounts and reviews and so on and so forth, and it all happens automatically behind the scenes while somebody else doesn't get back to them or doesn't phone them, whatever, you are going to get more bookings. This is one way of absolutely increasing your conversion rate. It's not a lot in the grander scheme of things. Honestly, I don't think that is.
Yeah, absolutely. The next package up, 127, has got a few more additional, a bit extra support, and there's a few extra features included in that. Then there's another on the website it's called enterprise, but really that's just a discussion to say, you know, taking the package, and we bolt onto that, you know, personal development time in terms of, well, not personal development, but development time. There are certain automations that might be required by certain businesses that are looking to, you know, streamline extra processes. So we chat and work out if that's required, and just get it customized fully for their business model. But the £97 package, straight out the box, you're good to go.
And what's the learning curve on it for somebody who's not an expert at anything like this?
I think it's fair to say you have to be computer literate. If you don't have a computer, because you've got the app on your phone, and that's all the basic stuff, but the main hub is when you load it up on a desktop, because there's more features, more settings, and all that sort of stuff. So you have to be comfortable at a laptop or a computer. And when I say comfortable, you don't need, it's not like you need to be an engineer, but obviously computer literate. And I think, like anything, because there's so many features packed in, you go in and it's a bit like you see a lot. But the way I work with clients is we start off, okay, let's get your, you know, reputation management, the review thing set up, become comfortable with that. And I do spend time with all clients, onboarding them and going through the main tools. And I think, yeah, there's probably, you know, being in the system, there's a couple of hours where there's going to be a transitional period, getting used to where things are. And then I think very quickly that just becomes cemented, and it becomes a really user-friendly platform to run your business. And having the phone app, again, you've got that in your pocket at a gig should you need that information. And sorry, just to pick up on a point you mentioned before about if you're sharing videos, it's also got its own QR code customizer in there. So you create QR codes are branded, analytics behind the scenes, so somebody can scan that, go straight in. At any point, you have full control over that QR code. So in future, if you want to change the address or where that QR code's taken the customer, you can do that. It's not like you've got off the internet and that your business cards are now redundant because things have changed. That's all in there. And there's also a training and learning platform, courses, membership and communities platform inside. So you can put your videos in there. You don't need to use YouTube, for example. They're in the system. They're part of your community. So all things like that just add to its overall value.
That's amazing. That's great. And if somebody's thinking, you know what, this could work for me, this could be pretty good. I want to find out more. Are you able to like chat to people or speak to them on the phone or have a meeting, Zoom thing or whatever?
Absolutely. And that's, you know, part of the awesome process is working. I like to speak with people, find out what their business needs are, have a think about what aspects of the platform can work best for them. And there's an onboarding process, and it's not like you've just signed up for something on the web and you get there and you're going, oh, what do I do? I'm there and I create videos. I put the videos in the academy. You're stuck on something, I'll hop on the phone, or you know, send you a video with a solution and show you how to do it. So yeah, that's in order for this business to continue to grow. It needs that human touch. You know, it's not a faceless CRM international company where you're just left to fend for yourself. The support is so important to make sure that people get the best from the platform. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's the plan, Craig.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, one, your story has been very, very, very inspirational. Like, you know, you've made your way into magic. You've become very, very successful. I know you continue to perform now, but you know what happened with your website. It would, especially after COVID. You know, you go through COVID, you go through lockdown, then your website gets nobbled. You know, that would finish off a lot of people. But you know, how you've kind of grown through adversity is amazing. And then having this platform that's helping not just magicians, but business owners all over the world. But what's great about this, you know, when I first started using digital marketing properly and using CRMs for my system properly and really kind of going into it, I had no one really to show me what to do. And I had to figure it all out on my own. Not only are you there for people, but if there's magicians wanting to do this, you're there for people, and you have a knowledge of magic as well, which a lot of business owners don't. So our industry works very, very differently. And what somebody would suggest, if you were speaking to just a digital marketing person and they would suggest doing this, that might not be the best thing to do for your business, as a magician. But the thing with Jody is he's a magician. He understands the industry, but also understands what needs to happen behind the scenes to automate everything, and you'll save yourself so much time. I always say, like, having the systems that we have in place is like having 2 or 3 members of full-time staff. Like, it just
It's
is.
exactly that.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Look, I said at the beginning of this interview, Jody, that this would be an amazing interview, and it was. No, it wasn't amazing. It was awesome.
Oh,
There you go.
I
Had
love
to get
it.
the link in. Had to get the link in. So, if people want to contact you, website, email, whatever, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
The website is awesome, spelled AWESUM, awesome.digital. Awesome, the sum is greater than the parts. And by going on the website, they can just fill out the form, or they can go to I could use this to drive traffic to my new site. You could go to jodymagician.com and fill out the contact form,
There
drive
you
some,
go.
let Google know that people are there. So yeah, go to jodymagician.com. That would be really handy.
There you go.
And then I'll be in touch. You may get an automated reply, and then I'll be in touch to work things out. But also for people that watch this show, what I'm offering just now is the pro package, the 127 for anybody that mentions this show and watch this. Then they'll get that package for the 97, locked in for life, all that sort of
Wow.
stuff. So
That's amazing. Thank you, Jody. That's brilliant.
you're
So they're getting
welcome.
the pro package for 97. That's incredible.
Yes.
Dude, thank you so much. For anybody watching this, I seriously, seriously, seriously suggest that at a bare minimum, you have a chat with Jody. Even if you don't think that you need this, I'm telling you, you do. Because my business went from strength to strength when I started taking digital marketing and automation seriously. Because without marketing, there's no leads. Without leads, there's no gigs. Without gigs, there's no money. Without money, there's no profit. Without profit, you ain't got a business. You've got a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're a hobbyist. But if you want to make money out of this, then you still need to start treating your business like a business and stop thinking of it as you're a guy that goes out and does card tricks, or you're a gal and goes out and does card tricks, and start thinking of it as you're running a business. And if you're going to run a business and you want it to be successful, then you want the best systems in place. It's like you wouldn't go to a gig with just a coin in your pocket. You want the best stuff that you can get to be able to do the best job that you can do for your client. Well, it's the same for your business. You put the best systems in place to make your business a success, so you can then go out and do the best job that you can do as a magician. So I would suggest everyone speaks to you. But Jody, thank you. I know how busy you are. I know I dropped this on you at last minute. So thank you so much for coming on the channel. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me, Craig. It's been a pleasure. I could speak to you all day about digital marketing. I know you're busy and got stuff to do, but thank you very much for speaking to me.
More than
Have a
welcome.
great time.
No problem. Guys, contact Jody. Awesome. SUM, remember. Awesome. Contact Jody. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Do you use anything like this in your business? If you do, what do you use? And I really would suggest that you speak to Jody. But I will see you again. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of Jody Greig, my name's Craig Petty. You have been watching Talk Magic right here on Magic TV. There'll be another one next Saturday. Until then, we'll see you there. Jody, thank you.
Thanks, Craig.